each drill that we're going to do, kind of talk about the teaching points, the stuff that I'm having the students pay attention to when they're doing it. We can talk about it a little bit. If anything sticks out to you, like, hey, this is dumb, or just anything comes to mind, shout it out. Let's talk about it. Let's do it now. But we're going to start off with, and anybody that wants to shoot it, if you haven't shot this stuff before, kind of want to experience it for yourself, you got targets up. So, ice ears. So, doubles, again, guys, the idea here is to press the trigger twice as fast as you possibly can, all right? And I'm gonna do this for about four repetitions. And then, again, I'm gonna holster. What did I see? What did I feel? So what we're looking to do now is we're just putting a pattern on the target. It's the over-under on trigger freeze. All right, everybody got eyes and ears? All right. Back a little bit because I want this to open up considerably. So I'll do this for 15 now.
Now when you do that one, there's no pause before you go.
There is no pause. So again, just running the trigger twice as aggressively as I can. So 15, obviously things are going to open up a little bit, and we'll have a little bit more to talk about on the target. Anybody have a Sharpie?
Yeah.
Thank you. So like I say, guys, I have them go all the way through it first. I don't talk about it, I demo it. I say, hey, this is what I want you to do. You're gonna press the trigger twice as aggressively as you can. You're gonna do that 4 times for 8 shots total. You're gonna holster. What did I see? What did I feel? The reason I have them holster, a couple of reasons. One is it's very easy on this to just get into kind of a rhythm, and then you just kind of blast through the entire magazine and people just kind of black out. I don't want them doing that. I want them paying attention to what they're seeing, what they're feeling. So by doing 8 rounds, it's enough shots that they get some repetition. There's something to notice, but it's not so much that, like, if you did just this for a magazine straight, well, you might not remember your second round, for example, whereas 8 seems like a good kind of middle ground. So I just want them to start again. I just have them shoot it, all right? Again, I don't really talk about it, don't explain it, I demo it, this is what I want you to do, and I just let them do it. And then, by the end of it, everybody has a pattern on the target that we can talk about. So, let's start with that. Anybody that wants to shoot this, let's cover down on the 7.
If you need a gun, I've got extra guns.
Yeah, I got some back there too.
You need a gun. I've got extra guns to try it.
Hey guys, the packet I hand you, it kind of filters out the John, so there's a lot of the same concepts John's been talking about, it's just in my words. So you guys can stuff that away, but some of the things he's going to talk about, it's kind of just the same stuff, but articulate something different.
So again, guys, the procedure is downrange. Procedure is you're going to draw, and this is something that I kind of emphasize in my classes, and this is something that I know Larry's a little bit different about this. Like, I'm not really assessing the draw here. I want you to have what you would think of as a good grip, right? Because we're trying to pressure test our grip, so we got to find that good grip in the first place, right? So I'm not worried about you guys ripping the gun out of the holster as fast as you can. Just get a grip that you like, right? That's what we're looking for right now. You're gonna fire 4 sets of doubles, so bang, 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 bang. You can let the dot, I want you to let the dot settle down between each pair. All right, so bang, bang, let the dot settle, bang, bang, let the dot settle. 8 shots, holster up, what did I see, what did I feel? What do we have right now? How much of this can we shoot? All of it. Yeah. So guys, go ahead and just work through that loadout. Whatever you got loaded, work through that on your own, at your own pace. All right, guys, everybody's holster. Now we're going to collect your bags. All right, guys, go ahead and take a look at your targets. All right, guys, come on back. So let's talk about now kind of the shot chart thing, kind of how I introduce it. So now that we all have some sort of pattern that's developed on our target, now we're going to talk about kind of why those shots go where they do, right? So I'm going to demo this. I'll demo a couple different ones. So I want you guys on this first one, tell me where the second shot goes. All right, tell me where the second shot goes.
Ears, ears, ears.
Oh yeah, thank you. All right, second shot went high. All right, so what was I looking at? I was staring at the dot, right? So the reason that our shots go up when we're staring at the dot, as opposed to, again, what we want, and this is why this pacing is here, not as a standard for accuracy, but just as giving us a way to anchor our eyes to the target, just give us something to focus our attention on. Well, just like anything that we do, when we're driving, for example, you look at where you want the car to go, and do you have to think about how much you move the steering wheel or anything like that? No, you just look where you want the car to go, and your body just knows what to do. Same thing if I'm looking at the dot. If I'm staring at the dot, when the gun recoils, where's the dot go? It goes high, and because the dot lifts, my eyes go with it, and my brain just tells my hands, bring the gun wherever your eyes go, right? So same thing with driving, the gun's gonna go wherever your eyes do. If I'm watching the dot lifts, so's the gun, so my second shot goes high. How about, oh, sorry. So we've got sight focus. And guys, if you need clarification on anything, something doesn't make sense, shout it out. Again, like I said, let's talk about it now while we're all here. All right, so next one. All right. All right, second shot obviously went low. How would we describe how I just shot that pair?
I'm calling it muscling the gun.
Muscling the gun? Okay. Yeah, so you can call it a bunch of different things, tension, active recoil management. Yeah, so basically, guys, here, let me do this. I want you guys to watch. I'm just gonna shoot another few sets of doubles. I want you to pay attention, like, how much effort does it look like I'm putting into controlling, quote unquote, the gun. Like, watch how much effort is involved. It goes to here. Like, how much energy does it take for it to just do this? Very, very little, right? Well, anytime we try to, what happens is, especially with dots, we see this much more. When that dot lifts, your brain says, nope, I don't like that. And it tries to rip the dot back down. We see this especially when we go back to distance, like 15 yards. That's about the distance where people actually start to perceive the dot actually leaving the target. And that really freaks us the fuck out. We see that dot leave the target, we're like, oh, hell no, right? And we try to rip the gun back down. Anytime that I try to use muscle to try to control recoil, I am inevitably gonna do too much, right? So what actually is going to manage the recoil, make the gun behave in a predictable way, is I keep my eyes anchored to the spot where I want bullets to go, and I just set the correct pressures in my grip, right? Everything with making the gun behave predictably happens here, right? Elbows forward, that's where your grip lives, and your vision. Anything behind that getting involved, again, it's only going to be detrimental for us. So, again, you can call this tension, you can call this active recoil management, just kind of however you want to word it.
So this is one of the new concepts. If you're not kind of already in this thing, this is one of the kind of changes, right? So we previously have, like, I don't know, when I first got here, we would go through this block. It's like, all right, grip the gun harder, adjust your stance when you get to like that. We need to get away from that. We want at least, we don't want to cramp the gun harder. Again, that's going to input negative input to the gun. Because you're trying to force, that's an active recoil management. That's one of the newer concepts in shooting that we need to get away from. We don't want people to grip the gun harder. We don't want the more aggressive stance. We just want the gun to do gun shit. And this is one of the newer concepts that's in there. So this is probably a change the way some of you guys may have been teaching like grip and stance. We need to get away from that. This is the most current thing. It's much more efficient. And then the reality is this also translates to the dynamic gunfight, right? Because we don't always have the luxury of having a fucking perfect stance to do all these things. I don't always have the luxury of having the best grip out of the gun. Again, vision's very key here. And again, it's putting as little into the gun as you need to make the gun do the gun thing. So like that's a new concept that that John's going to talk about that we really kind of want to start to see and put it into the classes.
Yeah. Stance, guys, it should help facilitate movement, not the shooting. All right, so the stance is not a big deal. It's only for the movement aspect.
Yeah, so the idea is that we want to keep our upper body especially as neutral as we can, right? And what I tell my classes is that might be one of those things that you hear me now, believe me later. But what we'll see when we start shooting fast, when we shoot on the move, and when we do target transitions, the more of that tension that we have, the worse our results are going to be, right? So what a lot of people look for is with like the whole grip thing, man. Like how many YouTube videos are there on like grip the gun like a Navy SEAL, right? Do this with your grip. What we start to realize, and we'll see this when we do the one-shot return drill in a little bit, like your grip really, like yes, it's important, but only in so much as you're letting the gun, like Larry said, let the gun do gun shit, right? We just want the gun to behave in a predictable way. You hear all these people talk about, oh, I want this gun to shoot flat. I don't give a fuck how flat the gun shoots. That's not its job. My gun's job is to come back to the same spot it left from. Right, so I want the dot to return aggressively to where it left from. That's all my grip is designed to do, and we'll get more into that in just a little bit here. Here's a classic. Not exactly where I wanted it to go, but low left, the classic low left. Guys, that shock chart circle thing, like that we all know, that if you're doing this, you're healing, you're doing this, it's some other goofy bullshit, right? What does low left always say? Yeah, jerking the trigger, slapping the trigger, whatever. So when you guys were shooting those doubles, you were jerking the trigger. You were slapping the trigger, right? I can do whatever I want with this finger as long as the rest of my hand moves, right? You can slap the trigger, you can jerk it, you can treat it with as much disrespect as you like. This doesn't matter, it's what the rest of the hand is doing. So this is when I'm basically trying to press the trigger with my whole hand. What this leads into, and this is what I call not isolating the trigger finger, all right? Not isolating the trigger finger. This also leads into trigger freeze. So trigger freeze, and I'm sure you guys all know this, but kind of two different flavors that trigger freeze comes in. Number one, has anybody ever gone to press the trigger and you like short stroke it and you do this whole thing, right? Like doing this. All right, so that comes from too much tension in my firing hand. I'm trying to press the trigger with the whole hand, not just the trigger finger. So what happens is when I try to press the trigger with my whole hand, all of my fingers are moving together. Well, what stops my bottom three fingers? The frame of the gun. So when these fingers stop, so does this one, and that just so happens to be not enough to actually break the trigger. So that trigger freeze is from you're trying to press the trigger with your whole hand. The other one is, and this one never happens to me, maybe it happens for some of you guys, but is anybody like you feel like you can't let the trigger out? Like you almost have to peel your finger off to get it to reset? All right, so that's basically the same thing, because the bottom three fingers, they don't want to let go of the gun, so this finger doesn't want to let go of the trigger. So it's the same thing, just kind of a different variation of it. All right, one more. So eyes and ears once again. All right, so off to the left. Generally what's happening there is I'm just not connecting my support hand to the gun properly. Whether it's I don't have it tight enough, it's not putting enough pressure into the frame, whether I'm slipping off of it, whatever the case is, I don't have the correct pressure with my support hand, so off to that side, that non-dominant support hand side. But this is why I have the kind of rainbow here. We normally see it in that kind of upper left quadrant or upper support hand quadrant, but the truth is, if I take the support hand away, the gun's just gonna do whatever the fuck it wants, and sometimes we'll see that second shot go here, or it's generally high and generally towards the support side, but again, it can be kind of anywhere above that, that intended point. So now, for those of you that shot, take a look at your targets and let's see, okay, do we have a pattern developing on our targets? Who wants to volunteer? Where's Chris? All right, so guys, come around. So here's one danger with this drill. It's very easy to get like outcome focused on this. Like if you came up to this target, most of us would be like, I'm fucking amazing, right? Like I'm a really dope shooter. This is really cool. That's not the purpose of this. So when we do doubles, there is no passing doubles. There is no getting good at doubles. All doubles is that aggressive pair is just a way to pressure test, again, my grip and my vision. I'm looking for the wheels to fall off. Like the point of doubles is to fail. So I tell students this all the time. Like if I come up to your group and it's like a fist size at 7 yards, I'm not gonna give you a pat on the ass and tell you you're amazing. I'm gonna tell you either go faster or move further back. Right? We need to fail in order for this to work. So how you actually pass doubles is, I don't care if you have a shotgun pattern on the target, if you know why every round went where it did, that's how you pass doubles. All right, so it's not an outcome thing. I'm not looking for a pretty group. I'm looking to expose the mistakes that I'm making, and I'm using that speed and aggression to bring those issues to the forefront. I'm not giving myself anywhere to hide. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so that's why we're doing doubles. We're using that speed to bring those mistakes to the front. So this group, again, it would be really easy to say, hey, good job, but is there a pattern here? What do we see? Low left, all right? So he is not isolating his trigger finger and he is pressing the trigger with his whole hand. Did you feel it when it happened? So generally, what I have found for most shooters that have that issue, it usually starts up here. It starts in the chest and the shoulders. The tension starts here and it travels down to their firing hand. Me personally, I'm a fairly relaxed shooter, like my shoulders and back and chest, fairly relaxed, but I still 100% run into that issue, right? But generally for most people, it starts up here. And you started off really tense when you started this, right? Anybody else want to volunteer? Blue? Right here. All right, what do we see here? What kind of pattern?
Side focus attention.
Okay. Yeah, maybe some going to the support hand side. So another thing with this, guys, is generally I'm not going to look at like one-offs. It's something we might talk about, but I'm more looking for the pattern, right? What is the habit that we have? So I would say, like, one thing that I think is helpful is, where was your case? Where was the case?
It was sitting
Right here. So, yeah, one thing that I have found helpful is if you just, wherever your aim point is, break it into quadrants. It makes things a little bit easier to see. Now do we see a little bit of a pattern here? All right, a little bit of not isolating the trigger finger, maybe a little bit of tension as well, pushing into the gun, not letting it just do gun shit, right? Trying to help the gun come back. Anybody else?
You do mine, John. Nice.
Start with this one. Okay, so this one's, yeah, tension, right? Yeah, pushing into the gun, right?
That's what
Again,
happens when you go to sales.
I'm on the other one, but same thing.
They're like, do me.
yeah, so
Same thing.
guys, the way I articulate this is like, in order to shoot well, it's actually very, very simple. We lock our eyes on a small spot on the target. We set the appropriate pressures with our grip. We press the trigger without disturbing the gun, and then we just let the gun do gun shit. That is very easy to say, and it is very, very difficult to do, right? So instead of just letting the dot come back to that same spot, using our vision and setting the appropriate pressures with our grip, trying to help the gun back down. Like I said, anytime we try to help the gun, we're inevitably, invariably gonna do too much. Corey?
Yeah.
Sucks a lot.
So I'd say the off to the left, I haven't zeroed that, but a lot of tension. Like I could feel it. Even Rich said something, he goes, damn dude, relax.
Yeah.
So a lot of tension and then the focus, like
Getting sucked into the dot, right? So this one is a really hard one for people to notice, especially at first. And we'll talk about in just a little bit, like the occlusion thing and how we start to kind of combat that. But we all look at the dot. It happens. Like Jeremy says, there's a reason they put red lights outside of strip clubs and liquor stores, right? So our brain wants to look at it. It's a shiny thing that's dancing in front of us. We want to stare at it. So what I have found though, like with more experience, now what I feel when it's happening, I don't perceive that I'm staring at the dot, but I'll feel my eyes. I'll feel my eyes very briefly flick. I'll literally feel my eyeball flick up. And it doesn't take, you don't have to stare at it, but if it grabs your attention for just a nanosecond, that shot's gonna go home, all right? And you'll start to feel it as it happens. So now that we all kind of have a pattern that we can work with, now we're gonna talk about those sub drills that are below doubles. And again, we're trying to now isolate each one of these in turn and give us a way to start to kind of fight it. So first of all, dot focus, is anybody not familiar with the occluded shooting? Yeah.
So after all these explanations that Walk and talk through the site of the target pictures, are you going to do it again? Or
Yeah,
you just
absolutely.
immediately go to the sub?
No, we do the sub drills first, and then after the sub drills, then we come back to this, right? Because the first time they do it, I don't care about the outcome. I don't care about the target. I just want them to put a pattern on the target so we can talk about, like, because I want them to go into it cold. So it's like whatever habits they come with, that's what's going to show up on the target, and then we can again do those sub drills and kind of talk about it. But everybody's familiar with occluded shooting. Okay, so that's what I talk about with them is, hey, if you're focusing on the dot, throw some tape on your optic. Putting tape on the optic does not force you to focus on the target. You can 100% be dot focused shooting the tape, but that's actually why I like blue, the painter's tape. One, because it doesn't get a bunch of gunk on your optic, but two, that blue is a really easy visual indicator like, hey, dumbass, you're staring at the dot, right? So, let's tackle, let's do not isolating the trigger finger first. Who's got you got a timer there? I just need you dry. So I'll start with it dry, just so you guys can see kind of the procedure. And I usually have my students do this dry for a little bit first as well. So I kind of briefly mentioned in the classroom the kind of different difficulty levels for this. Difficulty level 1, like easy mode, would be starting with your finger touching the trigger. So you're just disengaging the trigger safety, but you're not actually taking up any slack, all right? So just disengaging the trigger safety. Number 2 would be just out of contact with the trigger. Difficulty 3 would be finger all the way forward on the trigger guard. And then hard mode would be indexed on the slide or frame of the pistol, wherever you index your trigger finger when you're not shooting. So again, the idea is on the buzzer, I'm going to immediately react to that. I'm gonna try to have the trigger pressed by the end of the beat. That's my goal. So it's an immediate reaction, and I'm pressing the trigger aggressively to the rear. Again, I'll start with this dry. All right, so I'm just gonna present the gun. I'm gonna start with my finger just touching the trigger, just disengaging the trigger safety. Get ready. All right, so again, racing the beat, trying to get that trigger to the rear. Now, again, I said this in the classroom, the danger is we don't want to stare at the dot. Again, we want to stay connected to the target, but I'm going to be aware if that dot slashes down into the left or slashes low or does anything else weird.
John used to value having to do it for multiple finger
Yeah, I do, especially for LE doing the index one, because obviously, like, not a cop, but like for those of you guys that were in law enforcement, when you were covering a suspect, did you do it with your finger on the trigger? That is not advised, right? So being able to respond quickly, press the trigger without disturbing the gun from that index position, I think especially is a really valuable skill. But really, if you think about it, is basically all I'm doing, like by starting out here, like if I go all the way forward to the trigger guard, like when I'm shooting the gun as quickly as I can, that's where my finger is, right? I come all the way off the trigger every time I press it. So being able to come all the way back without disturbing the gun is obviously a really valuable skill. So now I'm gonna do it live size. Here's again, visually connecting to that pasty, anchoring my eyes to the spot. I'm gonna start just touching the trigger. Are you ready? Right, and just racing that timer, making sure that I get that trigger to the rear as soon as I hear that beep. Trying to beat the beep. What was the time, just out of curiosity?
0.20.
Okay, 0.20. So that's basically like limits of reaction time for the most part, right? So that'd be number one. That's the first sub drill. Again, trigger controlled speed. Have them do it dry for a while, and then have them, or I have them do it dry for a while, then I have them do it live. Right? Just getting them to, again, aggressively move the trigger to the rear without disturbing the gun. So what this proves to us is we can, like that shot, when dead center in the pasty, like I can press the trigger as fast as I want. Again, what I can't do is move the rest of my hand when I do. Okay? Who has the sheet down? Are we doing 50-50 next? Okay.
Or
One shot return.
One shot return.
Okay, yeah, so one shot return. Now we're looking at the whole kind of tension issue and support hand. So kind of working on the grip now. And again, guys, my goal with my grip, like think about it this way. What is our grip's job? Besides just not dropping the gun, what is our grip's job? Yeah, we need the gun to return aggressively to the spot it left from, right? It's not the gun shoots flat or does, like, I don't care if the gun jumps out of my hands, does a barrel roll, comes back. As long as when it comes back, it comes to the same spot, then it's doing its job. So the way I kind of go through this with them is I start with a, eyes and ears. I start with a very, very, very loose grip. So I'm just holding the gun so it doesn't fall. I'm gonna fire one round and let's just see where the gun lands, all right? I'm not gonna like freeze it at the top of the recoil arc or anything like that. Let's just see where the gun returns to. All right, so very loose grip. Okay, so my dot is right on this spot right here. So obviously I gotta grip it a little bit more than that. So now what I do is like, just kind of, not like a firm handshake, but like, you know, just normal kind of pressure with each hand. So just like a, you know, a polite handshake, we'll call it that, with both hands. Okay, so now my dot is right at the top of this baffle. So for me, I'm gonna keep my firing hand right there, all right? All I'm looking for personally, all I'm looking for in my firing hand is that the gun doesn't move around inside of it. As long as my firing hand stays connected to the gun, that's good enough for me. Again, what I find is any more pressure than that, I am more and more likely to not be able to move my trigger finger independently. So I try to keep my firing hand as relaxed and easy as I can. So now I'm just going to start to, little by little, increase pressure in my support hand. Little bit. And again, once I see that dot returning aggressively to the spot, that's where I call it good. And what I have found with this one is this one surprises people. They are surprised how little effort they actually need to put in with their grip, right? Grip pressure is a lot less than people think it is. And I think the tendency is when people are shooting, like they have a group that they don't like, the kind of inclination is, oh, I need to grip the gun more. And often it is exactly the opposite. And that's what Chris just reminded me of. Something I like to demo, to talk about how important the vision is here. Like, yeah, we're talking about grip, But like I said in the classroom, vision is really what controls our recoil, right? That's what actually makes the gun behave in a predictable way. So the way I demo this is I'm gonna shoot some doubles again, but this time I'm gonna do it with a super janky, like ridiculous grip. So like super low, and I'll do like kind of a like support hand down here. Like we can all agree this is a terrible grip. You should never shoot the gun like this. Like, would we still consider that an acceptable outcome? Yeah, absolutely. All right, so it's really not, yes, the grip is important, but the vision is so much more important. Just by anchoring our eyes to that spot, that's gonna do 80% of the work for us. The grip is just there to connect between our brain and the gun, or our eyes and the gun.
He's also not changing grip pressures while shooting. Once it's set, people have the tendency to start changing it, then you start to get inaccurate. So no matter how you put the gun, as long as the pressure stays the same,
Yep.
you're gonna get a desired outcome as long as the vision is applied to it. Right?
Yeah, keep your eyes anchored to it. I just realized we didn't shoot trigger control speed. Does anybody want to shoot trigger control speed? Just run through all of them. And then 50-50 next, right? Okay, so next one, guys, is what's called 50-50. So trigger control speed, that addresses the kind of not isolating the trigger finger thing. Right, that one shot return is where we start to work on that grip, making sure, or grip and vision. Now we're going to talk about the tension piece. So this one I also stole from Tactical Performance Center. They did it a completely different way for a completely different reason. Kind of changed it over the years. But the process here is I'm going to shoot a double, but this time I'm going to load the gun. So I got a round in the chamber, but I'm going to take the magazine out. I'm going to, again, press the trigger twice as fast as I can. All right, so what I am looking for is, or what I don't want to happen would be this. Right, pushing into the gun. And if you have that tension issue, you're going to see that dot dive all the way down below the target. Again, trying to help it back down instead of just letting the gun return and then pressing the trigger again. So again, what I want to see, last round. What I want to see is this. Right, so again, same speed, pressing the trigger twice as fast as I possibly can. And when I press the trigger a second time, what the gun do? Nothing. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like a little bit of a push is fine, right? That's just that post-ignition push, like it's just us trying to manage the recoil. But what I don't want to see is that big, like from the shoulders and the back, pushing down into the gun. So what we all like, classically, traditionally, what have we always heard shooting low is? Anticipation. Motherfucker, you're shooting the gun. I hope you're anticipating. Like, you're the one pressing the trigger, my guy. So yeah, of course we're anticipating it, but if you tell a shooter, hey, stop anticipating. Okay, fucking thank you, doctor. Like, what does that even mean? So we have to be more precise in our language, right? Again, it's the words and ideas we put into people's heads are very, very important. We have to be very careful what we're drawing their attention to and how we're articulating.
Plus, I tell people, don't jerk the trigger.
Yeah.
Don't jerk the trigger.
Yeah.
Learn how to do it without moving the gun.
Exactly. And again, I show them with doubles, you all just jerk the trigger, it's fine.
Right.
You just can't move the rest of your hand when you do it, right? So those are kind of the sub drills. And then from there, we go basically right back into doubles. So now they have an idea of why their pattern looks the way that it does. And now we've given them some drills that will help bring those issues to the forefront so they can focus on them, be aware of them, and again, start to tie that cause and effect. And eventually, like their first set of doubles, I don't expect to go up to the target and be like, hey, did you see that? Did you feel that? If they're being honest, most of them are gonna be like, nope, no idea why that went there, right? And that's fine. But what we're trying to do with these drills is help them build the awareness so that by the end of it, they're like, yep, I know exactly why that shot went where it did. And I always see it on especially day 2. Like I usually do doubles as a warm up in the morning. I will watch a shooter shoot a pair or set of doubles and they'll do this. they'll go head down because they know exactly what they just did. Like they're like, yep, that's that thing I do, right? And I love that because now that's telling me like they are a full participant in their own shooting. Like they're seeing it, they're feeling it, they're aware of it when it's happening. And to me, for my money, I think that's the best benefit we can give our shooters in 2 days. That they are aware of what they're doing. They're an active participant in their own shooting. They're not having to, not great business model wise, but like, I don't want them to have to come back to me every time they want to get better at shooting. I want them to be able to teach themselves. Because again, they're not going to get better in 2 days with us. They get better in what they do when they leave us, right? So that's,
But
to
it is
me,
great business because you educate them properly, they're gonna say, fucking that Glock class was awesome. They're gonna tell all their fucking bros and sisters, and then everybody's gonna
Cost
wanna
them
come.
700 people.
John, let
Yeah.
them shoot the subfield one mag each.
okay. All right, guys. So yeah, for shooters, you guys here at jam mags. Go ahead and jam and send the gun. You're gonna just place your finger on the trigger. Again, not taking up any slack, not taking up any of the weight. Just placing your finger on the trigger. On the buzzer, you're going to immediately react to that. Again, we want that round fired by the end of the beat. That's what we're pushing for. That's our goal. All right, what we need to focus on here is visually anchoring our eyes to a small spot on the target. If your pasty's gone, pick a hole. One single bullet hole to lock your eyes onto, and then isolating, just moving that finger. So guys, go ahead and present out. Yeah. All right, just place your finger on the trigger. Stand by. Very good. Stand by. To hard mode. All right. So actually, no, we'll do all of them. So this time, finger just out of contact. Finger just out of contact with the trigger. Do this a couple times. Stand by. Stand by. One more time. Stand by. Good. All right, now finger all the way off the trigger, like fingernail touching the front of the trigger guard. All right, fingernail touching the front of the trigger guard. We'll do this a couple times. Stand by. Stand by. One more again. Stand by. All right, now finger index. All right, so either along the frame or on the slide, however you normally index your trigger finger. Go present out. Stand by. Immediate reaction. All right, immediate reaction. Stand by. Sooner. Stand by. All right, go ahead and holster up, guys. If your student is having trouble kind of conceptualizing what it means to not isolate the trigger finger, to press the trigger with their whole hand, that one, index, they'll be like, oh, that's what it feels like. Because everybody felt it on that one, right? It is very difficult to move that finger all the way down into the trigger guard, move the trigger precisely and straight to the rear without shoving the gun down into the line. All right, go ahead and plus the guns up. So do a tack low, whatever. Just get your. Is everybody holstered? All right, downrange.
Downrange.
All right, guys. So the next drill is going to be that one-shot return, where we're anchoring our eyes to a spot on the target. We're just firing one round, and we're just assessing: does the dot return immediately and precisely to that spot? All right, and we're just kind of playing with our grip pressures. I do want you guys to start out with like a super loose, just not dropping the gun grip, and then just play with it a little bit. Slowly kind of increase pressures with each hand, and just give it a try. Like I said, what most of my students find with this, they're surprised how little effort they actually have to put in to gripping the gun for it to behave predictably, for it to come back to that spot. So I'm gonna have you guys just work through one mag doing this. All right, so guys, this will be on you, on your own. Work through that one mag. So guys, this is attention. This drill is also when I'll introduce the tape. This is when I'll throw the tape on their optic, because again, what's actually important about this drill, yes, the grip, but more so than that, the vision piece of it, staying connected with a small spot on the target, and the tape just helps them kind of understand. Last one we'll do will be 50-50, and again, this one, guys, you're gonna load the gun, take out the magazine, stow the mag, and then press the trigger twice as fast as you can. What we're looking for is that big push down, and pay attention to where it comes from. Are you tensing up your shoulders, your chest, your back? Are we getting any part of our upper body involved that shouldn't be? Again, grip is elbows forward. We want the rest of our upper body to be as neutral as we can make it. All right, guys, so you're gonna work through that third magazine just like that. All right, all the way through, load the gun, take out the mag, rip a double, and pay attention to, are we feeling that tension starting to build up? On you guys. Guys, the purpose of all this is, again, like building a shot chart based on reality, based on things that shooters actually do. And again, the whole idea of this is we are equipping them to be their own instructors, to be their own coach, to see and feel things as they happen and have a clear roadmap on how to fix that stuff, right? Now, the obvious downside of that is when we put the onus on, like, we already know we can't make them better shooters in 2 days, but something that I try to get to my class is like, guys, this is, I can give you the map, I can show you how to read it, I cannot take the journey for you, right? This is something that they have to do in their own training going forward, right? And if they're not gonna put in the work in the practice, it doesn't really fucking matter what we teach them, because when their number gets called, they're gonna go into that situation with whatever their habits are right now, right? Yeah. So that's all we can do for them. So having done all this, once we finish with this, then I pull them back, we do doubles a couple more times. I like to do it at least once from the 7 again, and then I like to do, even if, and I've questioned, or students ask this question all the time, like, what distance should they do doubles? If you are getting, like, if at 3 yards, you are putting everything into a quarter, like, you're probably not learning very much. You probably need to go a little bit further back. That being said, if you have a student that is getting a lot of information at the 3 yard line, like they have a very easy pattern to read, I still think it's beneficial to push back to the 15 at least. Because like I said, that's the distance where most shooters will actually start to perceive their dot leaving the target. And what we see from that is generally a lot more low shots than they would have at a closer yard line. Because again, the dot leaves the target, their brain freaks out, and they try to rip the gun back down. So guys, having gone through all of that, let's talk about it. Questions, comments, concerns?
On the doubles, before you go back to the 15, do you reface or just maintain the same shot group?
Good question. Yeah, so doubles, I want that done with a clean target every time. So this is something like for when I talk to hosts for targets, if I can get cardboard that is that is the ideal. I would love to have cardboard because I can bring a like a paster gun. We can rehab targets because a lot of hosts freak out because the cardboard targets are like 80 cents a piece, where the paper's like 25 or 30, whatever it is. But we end up actually having to reface targets less because we can rehab them. Whereas with paper, like we're putting up new targets every time.
Yeah.
So that is one problem with paper, or with this generally. But like, yeah, I want clean targets because I need to have a pattern that they can
Maybe
that
that's
they
something
can
we can do
read.
with the host agreement. Throw it in there and provide it.
Well, they don't read a new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing with that with John, and I stole this from him, I started doing it from him, is when he rehabs targets, like that's when he's giving his individual kind of feedback. So as a lot of times with his pacer gun, he's coming down the line, he's pacing, kind of talking through the targets. It's really a great time to give that more individualized feedback. He's going to diagnose the targets. So it's a great check. I stole that from him. So if you guys don't have a pacer gun, it's well worth the money. They're $90 on Amazon. You get white, like I have one with white pasties for like Glock standards targets or whatever. But again, it is really beneficial to help do that. And it's a great opportunity to kind of talk over the targets as we're going through that.
Hey guys, this is awesome. I'm glad I'm glad this can turn into a big session, number one. So we're getting somewhere. Two, this is so awesome. Is we can't forget about the IW. I mean, this would be more, to me, beneficial. But I mean,
So I agree with what you're saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. I mean, yeah, you gotta tell me.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, this is what I've always pictured the instructor workshop to be.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong, I love it.
Which are we talking about the drills? Or
I think
Feedback.
what he's doing for us now would be what we would envision as the IW.
But why not for the
But
operators?
the class he's running now, the class as it stands with these drills, is the OC, could be the
Yeah.
OC.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The way he's talking to us as instructors, instead of just doing, we don't have to do everything to understand what he's talking about.
This-
But for OC, yes, do everything. But the way he's teaching us is what I've always envisioned. An
This
instructor workshop.
interaction right now easily could be the IW class. But, we need this, but I'll talk to that also later.
Personally, I don't teach this. This is exactly how I would teach
No,
it in
but
an OC.
but-
Like I don't. But my point being is like I give all of my students the why behind everything. Like I don't think that's exclusive for instructor classes. Like I teach my OCs exactly.
But I think IW should not just be the description and the explanation between on an operator's class. I think IW should be a taste of everything we teach. How do we teach transition? How do we teach low profile? How do we teach low light? All those things can be built with this kind of framework in mind to teach an IW that talks about teaching teachers all of our concepts, all of our platforms, all of our deliveries without a focus on one
I would say
class.
the difference in the workshop, what we probably should do is make it 3 days and give everybody an assignment. This is what you have to teach us back to home.
Yeah, can we pin that though?
Let's talk about this, but as we're getting off the rails, let's finish up this part.
So
IW is tomorrow.
So a question came up, Chris, right? Yeah, so Chris asked just negative tape. So just if you're not familiar with the terminology, negative taping would be, for example, taping anything outside the A zone. Something like doubles, I'm taping everything, or just refacing the target completely, because again, I want as clean a pattern as we can get. It depends on what we're doing though, what the drill is. Like, say we're doing like target transitions, for example. Like, yeah, I can negative tape, I can leave A zones untaped, that's fine. Because it's like, when we're doing target transitions, like the Charlies and especially the Deltas is what we're really looking for. So yeah, I don't mind leaving the A zones dirty for those. But something like doubles, yeah, I'm gonna reface every time.
It's a vision thing, so you want to start.
Yeah. Anything else?
What's let me ask you guys, what are some things that like you think negatively about the drill you would hear people think that was not a good thing?
They're gonna beat themselves up.
Well, yeah, that's gonna
yeah.
happen.
The only thing I can see is some of the agencies crying about round counts. Some of the ones just ammo.
Yeah,
nothing like that.
this is all built in the 1,000 round construct.
Yeah.
So, but
So
they always cry
that
about it.
schedule is 998 rounds. If you go by the loadout that I do, it's a 998 round schedule.
And like, there's a lot of different variations. So I teach similar concepts different ways. So like, I do a thing called a measurement drill, which just kind of shows how the gun. It's kind of similar to one-shot return,
yeah.
kind of similar, but it's going to actually show you how the rounds print. I still like to.
Finish.
And I still like to do a contrast drill. So I like to kind of do fast, slow, kind of work on. And like for me, when I'm introducing certain concepts. Like when I talk about predictive shooting versus reactive shooting. So I'm addressing predictive shooting in doubles. When I'm addressing reactive shooting, that's where I get into my contrast drill, where now I'm reacting to the return of the sights.
Do people know what you're talking about with the contrast drill?
Well, it's in that little handout I handed out to you guys. So if you're not familiar with the terms predictive shooting, that's what you guys are doing in doubles, where you're shooting at a pace faster than you can
Yeah,
react
but
to
see,
the
hang
sights.
on. This is what we don't want. We don't want 10 different fucking concepts.
So,
not a different
but that's what I was getting to, and to what I was going to mention with Larry is, this is what drill are we going to shoot approach is backwards. It's not about the drills that we shoot, it's what is the concept that we're trying to get across. So like where I would do one-shot return, Larry might do the measurement drill. It's assessing the same thing. How much grip pressure do we need to apply? Making sure that our vision is locked onto that spot. Like that's
more what I'm looking for is what are the concepts.
right. The drill doesn't
Two
matter.
or three drills that would meet that concept. Maybe this for you, this for you, this for you.
Right.
If these three drills will match this concept, I'm okay with that as long as you know this concept is covered by three areas.
Right.
So what I try to get away from
What
is
I don't want is everybody running your drills and Larry doing his drills and somebody says, well, they talk different.
We're not gonna have it. I'll tell y'all right now, that ain't gonna fly. I'll come out and see you fucking doing something we didn't talk about. We're gonna have a problem.
I think if we have a running list, though, if we have a running list of drills that fit concepts, then I think that makes us.
This is what we're gonna do. How you say it, I ain't got no problem with that, how you say it. We understand everybody got the different terminology. But when we slap the table, this is how we're gonna do it, this is how we're gonna do it. I start coming out saying, you going off the reservation, doing your own thing.
Can you articulate to me a little bit more clearly? Because like,
I just said, how you spit it out, I don't care.
no,
You got
but like
your
when you
own
say
purpose.
the drills. So
Well,
like,
the purpose this week was coming together to get a foundation, okay, order, I don't care. You may have a different word for it than John. I'm cool with that. What we don't want is that if we say we're gonna do these things right here, and then Mark and I start coming out and we're seeing something totally different than what we talked about, that's the problem.
So but what Larry's saying is like, so that one concept that we're trying to assess or bring to the student's attention, I might do that one-shot return drill, you might do a measurement drill, which is, it's the same thing,
Yeah, okay,
it's just firing a second
that's
round.
what
Yeah,
That's it.
I think what you're talking about, the plays that you're referring to are the concepts that they're
Yeah.
referring to.
Well, cool.
So what they're doing is they're adding motion levels.
Yeah, different words,
So,
yeah.
but as long as I know that these are the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 drills, and I think it would behoove us to have a repository of an ever recycling set of drills. That hey, to do this concept, we can do this, and at some point in time, somebody might say, well, that's pretty stale. Let's try it. Here's a new one I saw. I like this one. Throw it in there. I think as long as I have that, and as long as everybody has that, what I don't want is everybody else. We came up with 2 or 3 drills, and then all of a sudden we have a flyer that somebody's doing something we haven't discussed. It may be the greatest damn drill in the world. Let's get it into the good of the group. That make sense? I'm okay with that. No,
And nothing that we're talking about is like, none of this is certainly not new and nothing's wild.
No, I
just think if we as long as we can all reference the same concept, the drills that we're running, and everybody has access to those, needs to be good.
So what if, okay, let's say in 6 months, I take a class from somebody and it's working on the same concept, but it's a different drill, but I'm like, hey, I like this. How can we come back
Send it
together?
to me, send it to Scotty and I.
Okay.
And then articulate, you guys have carte blanche to send me anything you think that'll better fit something in our system.
Right, but then how do we come back together?
We will put it out, we'll sell it out, you can do a Teams call, this is what I saw, this is what I like.
Okay.
Hell, if you like it that much, take a video of it.
Okay.
And I think that's a good thing, like too, like we were talking about the AAR. So if you come away with that, and you're doing the AAR, and that kind of is going to get fed into it as well. So I guess the only things, So for the concepts that I think that we kind of want to make sure that we're kind of addressing is obviously the vision concepts and not like vision drives recoil. I think is a newer concept that we want to understand that, right? So the vision aspect is a key component, and that translates to every course we teach. Whether it's an IW, LPC, vision is going to be a big, huge key, especially as more and more dots come into play. The trigger control at speed, I articulate it as a controlled trigger press or an accelerated trigger press. Same thing. I'm either pulling the trigger slowly or I'm pulling the trigger quickly, but the biggest thing is we can smash the trigger, and we need to understand that, and our students need to be able to do that. The principles of the grip. So again, we need to understand how we got to grip the gun. Again, John said it. I don't care how you grip the gun, as long as the gun's not flying out of your hand. You. So if you have a certain grip, maybe the gun flips more for you, but at the end of the day, the gun cycles faster than you can ever pull the trigger. So every single time you go to fire, the gun is waiting on you. So just how well you return the gun based on your vision is kind of a key component. Those are some probably the bigger things, and like it doubles, and then in training, like again, highlighting and exposing our weaknesses in training. Doubles is a drill that's designed to really show you where you're fucked up. I think those are the biggest concepts we want to make sure that we're getting implemented as we kind of develop this curriculum. And there's certain things, the good thing about that shot chart is once you've kind of done it, the shot chart continues to kind of build upon itself. The concepts in the shot chart kind of continue. So it translates to failure drills. So again, the same thing happened if I'm exiting the target early with my vision, we would start to see what would we potentially see happen on a second round. It would potentially exit high because my eyes are exiting the target, so I may see a predictive pair there where that second round is tracking high because my eyes left the target before I finish the engagement. That translates to the next chart. Same thing, we get into target transition. Same thing, if my eyes are exiting the target before I finish the engagement, what will we see to happen?
Dragging on
or dragging off the target. And again, that all layers into and that goes back to the original shot chart. And as you kind of build those layers, again, that shot chart is probably, like John said, it's not the end all be all, but you can continue to reference that throughout, and that translates to the rest of the drills as we continue out throughout the course as we do that. And then it can even play a part into the movement stuff as well. Tension definitely comes into more of a play with movement stuff. So these are all the concepts that we kind of want to like try to introduce and get to everybody, so that like this is the modern way of shooting. Yeah, this is stuff that is new to you. This is the thing that is the thing now, right? This is the new shiny object, and like we need to get on par, because if you continue to do the old stuff, like everyone's gonna come away like, oh yeah, that's not cool anymore. Like,
Been there, done that.
yeah. So
No, cool. Like I said in the classroom, guys, the purpose of this week, man, was to get us together so we can come up with a game plan. And once you've executed all the plays that we came up with, you have the freedom and the flexibility. If you saw something you like and you want to, hey, this is a cool drill I saw, you can do it. What I'm saying is, if I show up and see you doing something totally off the fucking res that we talked about these things, that's what we said we're gonna do, and then I show up and then you're doing something totally fucking different. You see what I'm going? Huh?
Full string de-escalate.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. So you have the freedom, guys. You're our professionals, and I trust everybody here. And one of the things I said, I trust the guys. They're gonna do what they're supposed to do. You have the freedom and the flexibility. If you see something cool, you saw somewhere in one of your other classes, you say, I want to try this. Then try it. As long as you've ran the playbook, you got a rock star class, you ran the playbook, and you want to. Hey, I'm good with that. Everybody tracking what I'm saying? Perfect.
Guys, any other like feedback on this specifically? Anything anybody didn't like, or anything I need to clarify?
No, I love it.
And sorry.
Go.
All hugs and smiles all the way
So,
around.
like, I have kind of taken pieces of his curriculum, and I ask students in varying degrees of experience. And I always ask them at the end of the day, hey, was there a drill that you guys didn't like, that didn't really click, that you were like, I didn't really get a whole lot out of it? And they're like, no, 100%. Like, even some of these, while they're doing them, they're kind of like, I don't even really know if I'm gonna get a whole lot of it out of it. And then as soon as they're done, they're like, oh yeah, I saw and felt a whole lot in these different drills. So
and to reiterate, that handout that I gave you, it's a lot of the similar concepts. It's just the verbiage that I use to articulate it, the way I kind of do it. That handout, along with an Excel document, is something that I start getting out to every one of my students. So I print it out and I give them that, especially my IWs. And when I get into IW, I talk about my curriculum development, how I incorporate it into my curriculum development in IW as well. And then the only other thing that we can potentially talk about at some point is, I know for me, especially for IWs, I do try to incorporate a dry fire component into each of that. So on all of these drills, doubles, one-shot return, 50-50, that all can be done in a dry fire manner, that especially with red dots where you can do that. So that's the other thing, is like, we want to make sure that as we're coming away, we're giving them the tools to go back and work on. We understand, hey, you're not always going to have a left shirt range to kind of work on that. So I think that's another aspect, is the dry fire components that we can incorporate into this to kind of give them tools to continue to work on.
So is everybody clear on, we'll hash it out, we'll finish it up, but so this is kind of going to be the foundation for the OC. And then after we run the circuit, what I call the walkthrough drills, okay, then we get into the other stuff, like the
transition.
Yeah, the transition and the failure drills, all the stuff, okay, that's in the playbook. Make sense?
So after this, guys, I think we'll